Morning all. All right, so this is the first of what's likely going to be a few different news videos today. Not using the board in this one. I likely will be in a different one later on because the qualifying offer deadline is today. Where if you want to keep somebody as a restricted free agent, you have to give them his qualifying offer, and if you don't, they're going to the unrestricted free agent market. And there's been a number of players that's already happened with. Once the deadline's passed, we will then take a look at who all of a sudden became unrestricted, who every team's going to be able to talk to. All right, starting things off, Evander Kane. So Kane, Tim Peel reporting that he heard that it's a 4-year offer. The Oilers were offering him, which is in the $4 million, a little bit over $4 million range. But either way, the Oilers have given him and his agent permission to talk to other teams, meaning he's going to the market. So the Oilers not able to retain Evander Kane. They're going to need a scoring winger. There's been rumors that maybe they're in on Connor Brown, that Connor Brown could be brought in. Connor Brown's a really good penalty killer. He's a very good energy forward. I don't know how much scoring upside you'd have with Connor Brown on a scoring line in Edmonton. Last year, of course, not this past season, but the season before, he did have 21 goals in 56 games, so he can score. So we'll see if Connor Brown ends up going. One thing with Connor Brown, though, is that fantastic work ethic. So I think he'd be a big hit in Edmonton. I'm a little bit surprised that the Ottawa Senators would look to move him, but there's not really much room in the top six for him. So you might as well see what's out there, right? All right. Also, Evgeny Malkin. So the discussions about whether or not Malkin would stay in Pittsburgh are continuing, and they're still talking, but word has it that he wants 4 years. The Penguins are offering him 3. This might be why you want to get them both signed. He and Letang both signed at the same time because they gave Letang 5 years, and now they want to give Malkin 3. Now, I'm not disagreeing with 3 years for Malkin, but because they gave Letang 5, I think they could meet in the middle and give Malkin 4, but we'll see what ends up happening there for the Penguins. Now, it would be weird to see Malkin in any other jersey. I will be doing another video on the UFA market today. Malkin will be in that video as well. If Malkin ends up moving on, it's going to be bizarre seeing him in another jersey. You'd have to think he wouldn't want to sign with, say, like Philly or one of their rivals, but who knows? It's interesting too because I think Malkin's still capable of being a number one center for a team, but again, at this stage of his career, I understand again why Pittsburgh is offering him 3 years, and I get why he's asking for 4. So we'll see who ends up winning that argument. Also, David Krejci apparently has entered negotiations with the Boston Bruins. So if Krejci comes back, the one thing with Krejci is that he does need to play with certain line mates a lot of the time, but he also was a good substitute for Bergeron. When Bergeron would get hurt, Krejci could jump in, and it went pretty well. I would still say Boston needs to add more depth down the middle, even if they bring Krejci back. I do wonder if at this stage in his career, Krejci might be better off as a third line than a second line center, but we'll see what they do. They are trying to bring back Krejci, and of course, Bergeron, should he decide to play, has already said he's only going to play for Boston, but he would hit the market in a couple of days, meaning teams can call him, meaning that any team could call him and say, hey, we know what you said, we know what you meant, that's great and everything. How about $18 million to come play for us? And I mean, they can't offer him that, but I'm just saying, if somebody calls him up and says, hey, we'll give you $8 million, it gets a little more difficult to be 100% committed to just that one team, right? So we'll see what happens there. Also, Matt Murray. So the Matt Murray deal, from all the sounds of it, it sounds like it's a done deal, that he's going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. And we can have the debate about whether that's a good idea or not. We can have that debate. We don't know yet whether or not Ottawa's retaining salary, what kind of a sweetener would get thrown in to make the deal work. There's talk as well about Ottawa trying to get rid of Zaitsev's contract and really clean things up from a contract perspective, which Murray and Zaitsev would help with nicely. Keep in mind that Ottawa would have 3 goaltenders if they kept Murray, and they have to waive one. Gustafson's no longer exempt from waivers, so they'd have to waive him to send him down. So they don't want to lose Murray for nothing. And so Toronto, in order to make sure that they can close this deal and they're confident in it, have been given permission by the Ottawa Senators to basically give Matt Murray a checkout physically, have their medical staff look him over, and make sure that he's good. That they're not acquiring damaged goods. So if he passes that physical, he's likely to be a Toronto Maple Leaf as soon as today. And then again, we can have that debate about how smart that is, how smart that's not, who else they might need. Does Shalgren and Murray then become their tandem? And yeah, because it definitely sounds like Campbell's going, and with Campbell, the word is that he's headed to Edmonton. And so we can all have that debate too with Edmonton about whether Campbell and Skinner are good enough to get them over the hump as well. So a lot of the goaltending movement that we expected has already happened. Now there's just those few goaltenders left, and we'll see where everybody ends up. All right, JT Miller. All right, I've been dragged kicking and screaming away from this one. So yeah, JT Miller is definitely on the block. And to the point where the Canucks, when trying to talk trade, there was apparently a trade that was nixed. And they weren't giving teams permission to talk extension with JT Miller. Now that's apparently changed to where if you want to acquire JT Miller, you may be allowed to talk to him about an extension and get him signed. From the sounds of it, it doesn't sound like the extension discussions between Miller and the Canucks are going very far. So the Canucks would like to get something back for him. And I've had the discussion about how I don't think the Canucks should trade JT Miller. It's not ultimately my call. So, it's not how it works. And so I do hope that Alvin's doing due diligence. I have no reason to think he's not. And if giving a team the right to talk to him and work out an extension means a better trade for the Canucks, I'm all for it. Fingers crossed that everything goes well there. JT Miller's been fantastic for Vancouver. He's coming off the best season in his career. I'm mildly surprised that he apparently doesn't want to sign that extension in Vancouver, or at the very least they can't agree on a number, but it happens. It happens. We're seeing that with Malkin. So if it can happen with Malkin, who's been in Pittsburgh forever, it can happen with JT Miller as well. I do wish him the best should they end up moving on from him, as much as I might disagree with that decision. Word just coming out from Colorado. Joe Sakic is no longer the GM. He's been bumped up to president of hockey operations. Chris MacFarland has been promoted to GM. Remember when Vegas bumped their GM out to promote somebody else to be GM because they didn't want to lose Kelly McCrimmon? It's the same thing. They didn't want to lose Chris MacFarland, so he has been promoted to GM. Sakic, president of hockey operations. It shouldn't really change anything. It's I would imagine a wage bump for Chris MacFarland, and so congratulations to him. Sakic's earned the right to be president of hockey operations, and I'm sure a lot of the decisions will still have to be greenlit by him. But congratulations to Chris MacFarland. Promoting from within seems to work, and it worked in Tampa Bay with Brisebois as well. So I don't see any reason why this shouldn't work as well. So coming back to the discussion of the qualifying offers, the deadline is today at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. The deadline is likely to be symbolic more than anything because a lot of teams are already letting us know who they've qualified and who they haven't. So there might be teams that are holding out till the end. And so I will do a video after that's all done on teams, on which players didn't get a qualifying offer. And then we can discuss who might end up being a pretty good pickup on the free agent market who didn't get a qualifying offer. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.